Hello, welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast. Today we are talking indecision, those times that you put things off or you want to make a decision but you don't, and the impact that that's having on your life. And believe it or not, we often think that indecision is a neutral space. It's I'll do that later, but really it's a hidden energy leak that keeps you stuck, it keeps you stressed, and will keep you small. Let's jump into the episode. Hey, and welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast, the podcast that helps you reset, refocus, and reclaim your power. Oh, how good is that? Especially after life throws you curveballs. I'm your host, Hilary Saxton, as most of you know, and today we are talking about those sneaky, indecisive moments that we all have, and we're going to learn some ways to stop being indecisive and stop making small decisions or making the easy one, because when we do that, we really lose our momentum and we also find ourselves sitting on the fence a bit too much, and we stay in stuck mode. And really, stuck is just scared in slow motion. So we think when we're stuck that we're just scared, but really it's scared in slow motion and we don't move forward. So let's talk about indecision. Alrighty. Indecision feels safe, but it's not. You know that feeling when you don't know whether to make the move or say the thing or start the project or leave the job, so you don't. You tell yourself, I'm just going to think about it for a bit longer. I'm being smart. I need more information. I don't want to make the wrong decision. But here's the truth. Indecision is a decision in itself. I have said that over and over for years. It's just my thing. No decision is a decision. When you don't make a decision or you're indecisive, you are making the decision to either pause or you're making the decision to do nothing. And you need to realize that, because when you are indecisive and you don't make decisions, it will keep you stuck. And it's usually a decision when you don't make one, when you're indecisive, it is the decision to stay stuck. And you don't want that. So every minute you delay a decision, you're spending energy on uncertainty, like leaving a bunch of apps open on your phone, and eventually the battery dies. And so you lose your momentum. Oh my gosh, that's so me. My phone has way too many apps open, but I am decisive. That is something I work on, making decisions as quickly as I can. And I notice when I become indecisive, when I get back into the habit of procrastination, of putting things off to do later, which is the decision to do something later, when I start doing that, I just end up with a massive empty desktop on my laptop, like it's got mess and apps and things open. I end up with piles of things I need to do around the house. I just end up messy. And it's not very often, but I realize that I've gone back to an old habit of being indecisive, of not completing things and not making decisions to do things. So what does indecision cost you? What do you think it costs you? Well, let's call it what it is. It's expensive. It costs you time, procrastination disguised as thinking. That's what it is. And the energy, it costs you energy. Like, mental loops are exhausting. It costs you confidence. Every time you avoid deciding to do something, you train your brain to doubt yourself. It costs you opportunities. While you hesitate, somebody else acts. It costs you freedom. While you're shackled to the what ifs and maybes and laters, imagine what you could have built with the energy if you'd spent it on deciding whether or not to do it, that thing, or make the decision, or whatever it is that you are procrastinating on. So let's go through those time. How often do you put something off and you waste so much time? Wow. In the world I live in, which is the property development world, I spend a lot of time mentoring people, and they procrastinate for years about whether they're going to do it. And they always are regretful every single time that they didn't start earlier, every time. So when you put things off, and trust me, I'm a putter offer as well. There are a few things I've put off, but I'm making some plans to get them done now. But when you start putting things off, you just waste so much time, and it's finite. It runs out. We have to remember that time will run out. So we can't assume that it's always there, because we know it's not. There is an end. We aren't here forever. So don't put off for tomorrow what could be done today. And that includes decision making. And then there's the mental energy that gets used, like the loops. When you don't make a decision, your brain, it's constantly searching for an answer. I liken that to if you've ever been fishing and you go out to sea and you've got battery on your phone, on your cell phone, and it just runs out of battery so fast because it's constantly searching for a satellite. If it's constantly, trying to find Wi-Fi, whatever Wi-Fi, I assume you call it, but it's constantly trying to find Wi-Fi to connect to because you're out at sea and there isn't any. And when you do that, it just drains the battery. And that's exactly what happens with mental loops. So a mental loop is you have a thought, you need to make a decision, you think about it, and when you decide, it closes that decision off. And you can imagine like a full bubble, and it just pops away, and it's done because you've made the decision. Well, when you don't make a decision, you end up with like a half loop, and then it just kind of dangles for the rest of the day. I just almost, if you imagine somebody with long curly hair, they've just got like, that was to me what it would look like. But mental loops are exhausting because they're distracting to our brain. You might not realize it, but if you aren't making decisions now and you are being indecisive and you've got lots of open loops, that means that your brain is actually a little bit preoccupied without you being aware of it. Like parts of your prefrontal cortex, the actual thinking part of the front of your brain, is being used because it's constantly thinking about that thing. Sometimes you're aware of it and sometimes you're not. And then confidence and decisiveness and not making decisions and putting things off just erodes your confidence because it's sending you a message that you doubt yourself, that you can't do something. It's giving you reasons and excuses to not do something. And believe it or not, it erodes your confidence. So if there's something you're putting off, I will go back to maybe you've got to do something, present something at work. You've got to say a speech at maybe Toastmasters. You've got to put an offer in on a property. Every single time you don't do that thing you're supposed to do, you erode your confidence. And it's just a little bit at a time, but over time that just piles up, and before you know it, done and dusted, confidence eroded, and you've got even less chance of making a decision. Also, when we don't make decisions, opportunities are lost. While you hesitate, somebody else acts. And why not you? Because if not you, then who? And I love that saying, if not you, then who? You're also giving away freedom. You are so shackled to the what ifs and the maybe I'll do it laters. Imagine what you could have done, what you could have built, what you could have been, what could have come from that energy that you've spent deciding whether or not to decide. There's so much wasted energy. Okay, let's now look at the reasons, the real reason you're hesitating. Let's be honest. It's usually not about the decision. It's about fear, often. It's the fear of getting it wrong. What if you got it wrong? It's the fear of judgment. What will other people think of me? I really liken this one to social media, especially if you're in small business. Ironically, I was just talking to my friend Leonie, who owns the florist out the front, and I'm always on her case about not sending out a regular newsletter. I'm like, it is your massive marketing tool. You must do that. Your clients need to be, they may not open it, but they're reminded. It's like my newsletter. They might not open it every week, but they see the headline and they might think, Indecision, I might read that later. Or they see me, I'm top of mind. It's like, oh, Hilary's podcast's out, I'll listen to it. I say that to Leonie about her florist. You need to send them out on a regular basis because you're reminding people how awesome your shop is. She has the best gifts ever. I love receiving flowers from her. And it's a reminder of her clients or people that have purchased from her before to go back there. So why does she not? Is it the fear of judgment? What if she says the wrong thing? Is it the fear of getting it wrong? Is it the fear of committing to doing it every week? And then what if she doesn't do it every week? Is it the fear of, I don't know, what is it? But if we're looking at things that you're not doing, there's a reason. There are other reasons that we fear doing things. The fear that you might lose control of something. You start doing something, and what if you lost control of it? What if you had to commit to something? What if the fear of commitment? Frightening for some of us. You've got to think that you are usually not making a decision because you're afraid of something. And when you think about it and own it, most of it's ridiculous, really. Seriously, come on. You know it is. So you grow with your decision making. I'm just writing a fabulous speech right now. Yes, I've gone back to Toastmasters and it's competition time. So I'm just sort of, my first one is around decision making, making better, bolder decisions. Because I believe that too many of us procrastinate and we don't make the right decisions. And then when we do that, get stuck in that procrastination loop, oh my gosh, we end up with big chips on our shoulders, and it slows down our personal growth and it slows down our arrival at our destination, which is the goal that we want. Every time we put things off, every time we get in the habit of not deciding for the reasons that we have, and you've got your own and I've got my own, every time we do that, it's such an erosion and slow down and put off, and it just has such a negative impact on our life. So you grow with your decision. You don't have to have it all figured out. And I think that's what the problem is for most of us. We like to know what the next step is because the brain loves certainty. It loves to know that, I'm exactly sure of my next step. But you know what? You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to make a call. I did this once years ago. I wanted to have a big life change. So and this is actually what my speech is about. I got out a map of New Zealand and I circled my finger around it like I was, choosing a prize at a game show. My eyes were shut and my finger landed on a place called Tauranga. And I drove there within a week later, drove down the main street. It had traffic lights. It had McDonald's and KFC. And compared with where I came from, that was basically New York City. And I was like, oh my God, let's do this. Let's put the house on the market. Let's just move to this city. It was amazing. And that was a really big, bold decision. But I was at that point in my life stuck in a rut. And if you know what a rut is just a grave with the ends kicked out, meaning we're basically in a grave. If you feel like you're in a rut, it's like a grave. It just has the ends kicked out. And that's when it's time to make a big, bold decision, to change something, to do the thing you want to do. And I live by another rule: accept or change. If you can't change something, you have to accept it. If you can't accept it, you have to change it. And for me, right then, I couldn't accept how I was living, how I was in that small town. I couldn't accept that anymore. So I had to change it. But if I couldn't change it, maybe there were barriers around me not being able to, and we all have our own barriers, so I don't know what's holding you back. But if you use accept or change rule and you can't change it, then you have to accept it. And that's a great way to peacefully relieve your brain and think, okay, well, what else could I do instead? And that's a great way for the brain to be able to have some form of mental control over a situation. Let's now break down the indecision habit and let you move from stuck to certain. I want you to name the story. Like, think of something you want to do that you aren't deciding to do, that you're not taking bold action on, that you're putting off, that you're procrastinating with. What is that thing? And I want you to ask yourself, what is the real fear underneath the indecision? What is that real fear underneath the indecision? And I'm trying to rack through my brain what mine might be. I haven't actually committed to, well, there you go, indecisive. I've said I was going to do a few things and maybe I haven't done them yet, but TED Talk, always on the list. I would have thought I would have done one by now, but maybe I'm not quite ready yet. I think I'm getting close. I quite like the speech I'm working on at the moment. I think it could go and be as far as a TED Talk. Yeah, it definitely could. It's quite good. And then, so maybe, what was my fear? That I'm not good enough? That would be mine. So you think about the thing you're not doing, that thing you really want to do, what you're putting off. What is it? What is it? What is that real fear underneath that's causing you to be indecisive? And then once you work that out, once you work out the fear, mine is like embarrassingly getting it wrong and not doing a very good job and people hearing and seeing it. But then what you need to do is you need to shrink the decision. Shrink the decision. Don't think about it forever. Think about what's next. So don't think, for me, it's like, don't think about the TED Talk. Think about what's just next. What is that next thing? And then just make the call. Make the call, whether it's sending an email, whether it's hitting publish, whether it's waking up early, whether it's giving yourself a deadline and sticking to it, whatever it is, just take the step. And then be okay with messy. Oh my goodness. Is everyone listening to this? Be okay with messy. Be okay with imperfections initially. not the polished one, not when you're standing on the stage with the TED Talk. Okay, that's a no-go, not allowed to be messy there. But on the way there, if we look at the speech I'm writing right now, so I've got 2 weeks to memorize a particular speech, and I want to do a good job. I want to memorize it. And initially, I think I'm up to about version 14. It's like probably 9, I think. I write it and I learn it, and I'm like, no, that's not quite right, really. I think that there's words I can take out. And when you write a speech, it's really important that you pull out a lot of the filler words. You pull out a lot of words, actually. You might put a filler in, like the word actually, or a word that's a real filler word. If it's for sarcasm or something, like we actually used to do that, that's in a sarcastic tone. So I'm going to talk about we actually used to talk on telephones that were attached to the wall. But otherwise, you need to get rid of words, get rid of as many words as you can when you are speaking professionally. Doing that, so at the start of that process, it's incredibly messy, and you read it out and you get tongue-tied and tangled up and get all over it. So I want you to think about your thing. What are you okay with being messy with to start with? And I'm thinking of the people learning feasibilities and, learning how to use the feasibility calculator and sending that in. Be okay with getting it wrong. That's okay. That's what it's for. That's what we're for, having a look and letting you know that you've done it wrong. But what is the thing that you're not doing that you need to, do you need to paint the skirting in your house or in your shop? Do you need to start writing that book? Do you need to change jobs? Do you need to update your CV? Do you just need to clean out the damn cupboard? It doesn't matter what it is, but be okay with initially just doing it a little bit messy, because it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. It's going to take a bit of time to be powerful. It's going to take a bit of time to get close to perfection. And then ask better questions. Instead of asking, what if something goes wrong? Ask, what if it works? What if it does work? I could definitely do that with my TED Talk. Like, what if it does work? It will work. And when I decide to do it, it will work. So I've told you about me, circling my finger over the map and my finger landing on Tauranga and driving there. And just remember, did I know anyone who lived there? No. Did I have a job lined up? No. But I went anyway. Was it a decision that a responsible adult should make? Not necessarily, but I do believe, and maybe this is you, that sometimes we really do need to make those big, uncomfortable decisions that others might shake their head out and think, what the heck are you thinking? And that doesn't matter, because what others think of you is their business. You have to look after you, and you have to do the thing you want. I want you to also understand that indecision is where dreams go to die quietly. But you weren't born to sit on the fence. No one was born to sit on the fence. You were born to choose. You were born to move. You were born to build. You don't need more time. You need more trust in yourself, because clarity doesn't come before the decision. Clarity comes after the decision. You start doing things and the ducks start lining up in a row as you go. They just turn up. It's like, boom, there's another duck. They start falling out in front of you because you make yourself more lucky. You give yourself more opportunity. So your challenge for this week, my friends, what's that one thing you've been sitting on? What is it? Big or small? What is it? I want you to think about it, and I want you to decide to do it. I want you to decide to do it. And I want you to just make the tiniest little move and think, yeah, it's going to be messy, but I can do this. I can do messy. And I can actually do messy for a few days and watch it start tidying itself up, because it will. It will tidy itself up. When you do start making those actions, you'll watch the momentum. The momentum will begin, because your little actions cause traction. And it all starts with a decision. That's all it is. It starts with that one decision. And I believe that decisions are really the be all and end all of success. You can decide not to be. You can be indecisive and do nothing. Or you can call yourself thinking about it, which is just indecisiveness on steroids, I suppose. Or you can just start making decisions and taking small actions. And before you know it, you have moved that mountain, or you've climbed to the top of it. So do you know anyone right now, or you've got to decide on your thing, and I would love for you to take some actions. Do you know anyone who's a bit stuck right now and needs to make a decision? It's interesting. I had a conversation with somebody this week, and the parents had split up, and it was the mother, and she was telling her grown-up son now that leaving was the hardest thing she ever did. Staying was way easier. And it was ironic that she'd said that to me, because I'd just been talking about people get stuck in bodies they don't like, and it's easier to stay stuck in uncomfortable than it is to do the uncomfortable to become comfortable and change that body. They stay in jobs that suck the life from their soul because to them it's steady. It's a steady job, and they stay in relationships that are flatlined because it's just way easier than doing something about it. So when she told me that this was the conversation she had with her son, I thought, you're so right. So many people need to make a better decision about, especially usually one of those three areas in their life, their health, their wealth, or their relationship. And once you start making decisions and working toward them, you can fix things or you can leave things. I'm not saying leave your husband or your wife or your partner or whatever. What I'm saying is do something about it. And that, whatever that is for you, but do something. So if you have a friend that needs to hear this episode that is always indecisive and you can't say it to them, well, then send them this episode and say, hey, I think it's time you realize the cost of your indecision and perhaps did something about it. How cool would that be? I would love for you now to, as you always know that I say it every week, please send a text to a friend and let them know that you appreciate them. And if you have enjoyed this episode, oh my gosh, go write a review. I would love that. Anyway, I hope you've got a few takeaways this week from why indecision is costing you more than you think. And I will catch you again next week. All right, bye for now.